Hi guys, Don here. Today we're going to go over the webinar course, and I want to go through all the details here. So I'm going to get right into it. Basically, I'm going to go first over the explanation, and then I'm going to walk you through and show you all the technology that's needed to do this. So let's kind of get going here. Basically, I want to talk about using webinars for patient engagement and also for profit in your practice. And this is something that we've been using in our practice for a number of months, and it's worked really well. And I want to go through some of the pitfalls and some of the things that we've learned. Basically, I want to show you how to set up a webinar, how to learn the technology, and how to use it to get referrals and media exposure, and then use it to record and repurpose it for social media. So the whole goal is that you could do one of these and have it repurposed in the future. And that's kind of what we want to go over today. Any disclosures, I do own this Podiatry Practice Mastery, where these courses will be available for purchase in the future for those that want to go deeper or want to get help. So let's start here. Our experience with doing webinars, it kind of came in a roundabout way. Basically, the story was I was already doing a local television program. It's called Healthy Living. And I started to do that a few years ago at the local television station. And then COVID happened, and I didn't want to go to the television station, but I wanted to keep on doing these interviews. But what we really liked to do was doing public speaking. I think all of us, whenever we get invited to do a grand round somewhere or get invited to speak somewhere, it's fun because we can share something that we're already doing every day, and there usually is a captive audience. And we thought about this. We'll say, well, let's try to do this for our patients. Basically, we didn't have an office that had a large enough room to hold 30 or 40 people. And we thought about doing it in our office, but then we thought, well, since everyone's kind of getting used to Zoom, let's try to do it on Zoom. And so we made some mistakes, and we kind of learned throughout the process. And I want to kind of go through and share a little bit with you. And our first one that we did, there's a couple of that we did. The most recent one was all about Achilles tendonitis. We're doing one currently all about flat feet. We did one all about bunions. And we just take some of these main topics. What my recommendation would be is whatever main topics you are advertising on your website that you really like to do. It could be ingrown toenails, it could be bunions. You do the webinar on those topics because that's something you're already passionate about. That kind of brought us to this progression of doing the webinars. And then we did make some mistakes. You can see this one here. Do you see how there's that sideline here right on this video? And the reason for this little sideline isn't because I wanted to put this on here. It's because I recorded everyone's image during the broadcast, and I didn't want to show everyone that image. I didn't want everyone's image to be seen on there. So if you look at some of my first ones, I didn't record it the right way, but I still wanted to make use of the video afterwards. So I'm going to go over some of the mistakes that we made. So hopefully you don't have to do that. And basically, this is for you if you want to provide valuable content to your patients, which all of us want to do. If you want more content for your website, this has been really valuable on those same pages. For example, we're advertising plantar fasciitis, for example. We can put the webinar there for a replay for the patients. And those that are interested, they'll watch a 45-minute webinar on the topic, and they'll be pre-educated for when they come in. If you enjoy teaching and educating, if you want an easy way to train new doctors and staff, this was an added bonus. When we started to do these, we realized these would really help our staff as we're training them about these topics, because they don't get to see us. A lot of times, if you don't have staff in your treatment room with you, they don't see all the magic of how you explain things, of your personality. And we found that if during our training period of our staff, they can watch these presentations and they can learn more about the conditions that we're helping them out, that we're helping the patients with. And also for new doctors. Specifically, we have a new doctor, and we seem like we're out there. And so this doctor, he had some opportunity to shadow us, but when you have a webinar, the more experienced doctors and how they explain things, that can be of great help. And so that can be recorded. And it's a lot different. So for example, my partner, Neil, in the office, he is great at explaining conditions. And so a lot of times we'll use him to explain about the kind of the causes of plantar fasciitis, for example. That whole spiel, if I just ask him how he explains it, he doesn't quite know. But when he's on Spotlight, on a webinar, he's much more natural, just as if he's speaking to his patient. So it's a good way to train the other doctors. And it's also good for you if you want more social media content. A lot of us need this. And so what you can do, and what we did afterwards, is we actually took the 45-minute webinar and we cut it into segments. So each segment, each question that we answered in the webinar, we cut into individual segments. So we could have, for example, all about Achilles tendonitis part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, because a 45-minute webinar, sometimes they won't listen to, but if you can divide up the individual questions, it can make it a lot easier. And that's something easy to do with Fiverr if you don't have the skills, and we'll teach you about that. So imagine this: giving great content to patients, repurposing your content, and answering their most important questions. This was one of the neat benefits to it. When people register, we use this thing called Calendly, and I could ask them the question. If they're going to sign up for flat feet, what is your question about flat feet? What do you want to know about? So then we can make sure we add that to the presentation, to our slide deck. So we're going to go over the technology. We're going to go over the actual webinar process, what's needed before, during, and after, and then who can do it for you. And then that'll be the first portion. And then the second portion, we're going to dive really deep into the details. You'll probably get bogged down with those things. You don't have to memorize everything because everything is right here. And there will be a kind of a written transcript and some other types of resources that you can refer to. And I've made a couple of kind of templates that can help you to design your own webinar as well, if you want to know the different sections and the different topics.